This is a very simple, high-quality micro-mobility machine. This is the Retrospec Judd folding bicycle, and it is a single-speed coaster brake bike that is very light and folds down very small, but a big person can ride it. And you can look at the high-quality finish here. They do a really great job of making this one look pretty, but they also have a blacked-out one and a military green one if that's your style, if you just want to blend in and bug out. This bike can hold up to a 250-pound rider, and it has 20 by 1.75 tires, front and rear. That's thin enough to be fast and fat enough to be comfortable on the road. There is a telescoping handlebar there with numbers on the back, so you can remember what your setting is. If you share this amongst a bunch of people, you just remember what your number is. Same goes for the seat post. There's a number on the back of the seat post, and you can raise it or lower it depending on how high or low you normally want to have it. The seat is very comfortable and very springy. It's a proprietary seat made by Retrospec. And down in the powertrain department, it is a single-speed coaster brake arrangement with 152 millimeter cranks and a 48-tooth sprocket in the front and an 18-tooth sprocket in the back. Sealed cartridge bottom bracket in the middle, so should be good for a good long time of use. And the frame is lightweight aluminum. The fork is steel to give good ride quality. And there's a good look at the big hinge in the middle that holds it all together. We'll fold it and unfold it later on, and I'll show you how exactly it works and how you fold it down. And it fits people from small to tall. So this is the small setting. And when you see me riding it, I'm 200 pounds with a 32-inch inseam, 6'1". So I put it closer to the top, but this is taller than I need it. So I think you could even be a little bit taller and still fit on it and ride it around just fine. And you can think of many use cases. For example, on a crowded train, you could fold it up there into your seat, and it folds down to 32 by 30 inch by 10 inches. And you could even man spread around it and keep it in your seat like that if you're riding on a busy train. And on the road, it is what I would describe as beach cruiser gearing. So it's a nice mid-level gear. You know, you can't go too fast or you'll spin out, but you can still go up small to medium hills. We'll do a hill climb and a descending test and a brake test later on. But that's what it would look like if you're just cruising along on it. Kind of a real mellow, comfortable gear. And the lightweight and the narrow handlebars and the little 20-inch wheels. I would never go lower than 20-inch wheels on a folding bike. I think you lose stability if you go under 20, but these 20s make it perfect. So let's say there's a sporting event and I park 2 miles away. I don't have to pay $50 to park. I don't have to pay $60 to park. I can actually just roll right up to the front. How does bike parking work? Is there any bike parking?
I think it's probably ahead.
And this is the 2026 World Cup of Professional Soccer, and I am parking for free, while everybody else who parks in somebody's yard is paying 50 or 60 bucks, and the people that actually parked in the parking at the stadium are probably paying $100 or $200 to park. Here's how to unfold a Retrospec Judd folding bicycle. It fits neatly in the back seat of my Toyota Prius, and you just unfurl it like that and then lift up on the latch and snap it closed. Here's a close-up. So there's a pin that you have to lift up to go into that hole on the bottom, and then it just clamps down like that. And when you're taking it apart, again, that lifting action acts as kind of a safety if it were to come loose. So you have to undo it and then lift up on that pin to get it to pop open like that. And then pop your handlebars up and snap down the lock on those. And here's how that lock works. So there's a safety on this as well, so it's not going to come undone while you're riding. So you pull up on the safety when you're taking it down like that, and then to put it back up, it just snaps in place. You don't have to do anything with the safety there. And then when I'm folding the bike up, I put it extra long so it's below the fork so that the handlebar doesn't scrape the beautiful paint job off of the fork while it's folded up. And then the handlebar height can be adjusted. There are numbers on the back so you can remember what your setting is, and it's just like a seat post adjustment. The handlebars can be rotated like that. This really makes more difference if it has brake levers on it. This bike has a coaster brake, so you don't really have to do that. And then the pedals get unfolded like this, and different pedals unfold differently. On this bike, you reach in and grab that little trigger there and unfold them and fold them like that. And then the seat post works like just a normal seat post, but there's a number on the back that tells you basically how high it is. So if you're number 4 or 5, 6, or 7, you can remember what your number is. And if you're sharing it amongst different people, you can always just set it back to you, whatever your number is. And if you're putting it in the back seat of your car and you've been riding through dog poop and garbage and stuff, I like this Rhino Walk bike cover to keep everything clean. I'll put a link in the description to that. So the use case is like a last mile vehicle. Like if you want to park a mile from the beach and ride in so you don't have to fight for parking or pay for parking, or, in a campground. Sometimes people have a campground bike, especially if you have the tent on top of your car and you can't move your car. You just ride the bike to the bathroom, ride the bike to the store. That's kind of the spirit of this thing. It's sort of what you'd call a last mile vehicle. But there's a lot of technology built into this. This isn't just a kid's bike with a tall seat post. Look at the bike behind it and then compare the wheelbase. You can see how far apart the wheels are. So you get about the same wheelbase as you would on a normal bike, which makes it stable. And then that steel fork gives you good road feel. And you can also see how curved outward that fork is to give it more rake and trail. So that angle means that it's going to be stable. We're going to bomb a hill with it and get going super fast and just prove how stable it is here towards the end of the video. They say this is a lightweight bicycle, so let's see just exactly how light is light. It's 23.4 pounds. If you speak metric, that's 10.7 kilograms. That lightweight means stairs don't scare you. I am a frail, elderly, demented person, and I am able to get up the stairs just fine, just grabbing it with one hand and holding the camera with the other hand to get this magnificent cinematic masterpiece of a shot going up the stairs from the beach to Rosecrans. So, if you live in an apartment and you got to go upstairs, no problem with this thing. And this is what hill climbing looks like. You can get a sense of the cadence from the shadow on the ground there of how quickly I'm turning the pedals. If I was not filming, I would grab a burrito and go back and sit on the beach and eat it, but we are climbing a hill on it. And you can see moderate cadence. I would think on a small to medium hill, you're okay. On a steep hill, it's going to be rough going with this gear, but that's to be expected. I still think that they picked the perfect gear for this bike. So once we get to the top, we're going to bomb the next hill, and there's a radar detector at the bottom. We're going to get as aerodynamic as possible. Activate sport mode. So now we're down low, low, low. The camera angle is not going to be great for this, but basically what I'm going to do is get low and then Fred Flintstone it up. I think you can sprint up maybe to 15, maybe 20 miles an hour before you totally spun out, and it's actually pretty silly while it's happening. So I just give it as much of a sprint as I can, which you can kind of see in the shadow there. And then we're bombing down this hill, and you can see how stable it is. There's no speed wobbles. You can see that wheel is pointed directly straight ahead thanks to the angle of the fork. Now let's get our reading here. And I switch to slow motion, and you can see there on the big thing, it is 28 miles per hour. And then when I sit up, my aerodynamics kick it back down to 27. So peaks out at 28 miles an hour going down a hill. Not ideal situation to have a coaster brake, but definitely goes about as fast as a regular road bike would go down that same hill. So that means there's not a lot of resistance in the tires or the bearings, which means it's very efficient no matter what speed you're going. Here is a good test of the coaster brake system. So I'm going pretty fast down this hill, somewhere in the 20s miles per hour. This is a pretty steep hill. And then at the bottom, I see that the light is turning yellow and there's no chance that I'm going to run it and survive. So I hit the brakes, and they're really well controlled. Like you don't automatically lock them up. You can put a little bit of pressure on them and slow down safely without skidding. So I think the brakes on this bike work really well for what they are. And I put the unboxing towards the end because most people don't care, but it was very well packed. Nothing was broken. And you might even want to save the original box if you're going to haul it in a truck or carry it with you in the future. The instructions are worth reading, and they mention that you need to check the torque or tightness on all of the bolts. And I found some loose bolts, so I definitely would recommend that. And also on this bike, make sure the pedals are torqued on properly. On mine, there was one loose pedal as well, and then the steering bolts needed to be tightened. And also on the adjustable, the seat post and the handlebars and on the hinge here, they are all adjustable. You can make them tighter or looser. So you want to just make sure that those are tight enough. Don't just assume that they are. And the hinge was really tight, so I put a few drops of chain oil in it. So now it's oily. So I don't know if that's smart or stupid, but it certainly opens and closes a lot better now. At this point, you might be thinking, hey, that'd be really awesome if it had an electric motor on it. Well, there is a Judd Rev 2 e-bike version that exists, and I'm going to be testing that next after I finish this one. So in conclusion, the Retrospec Judd is a simple, well-made, efficient bike, and it's going to be more reliable than a bike that has a bunch of cables and brake pads and a derailleur that can get bent or broken and needs adjustment. I mean, this is about as simple and reliable a bike as you can find that is a folding bike, and the folding part works well, so I give it a big thumbs up. I'm really happy with it, and it's a lot of fun. And then the bonus is that it gets a ton of attention and people really love it. They're laughing either with you or at you, but you're definitely getting noticed on this thing. I think you'd get noticed less if you had the flat black one that's all completely black, or the army green one, but this one in this color really gets a lot of attention and people really notice it and compliment it and like it. So there you go. There's a link in the description if you want one. Thanks for watching. Comment, like, and of course, subscribe.